What is up, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to do a slightly different video for you all, and there's been a lot of new subscribers coming to the channel and I'm very grateful. Thank you so much. Welcome to the channel. Yes, this is a gaming channel, but I do other things, and obviously because it's all about Suzy Lou, I like to talk to you guys because obviously I don't stream and sometimes it feels like we don't get that personal time together. And there's something that I've spoken about before. I think it was back when I had 40,000 subscribers and I did like a 12 or 13 things that you may or may not know about me video. And in one of those videos, I mentioned how I'm blind in my left eye. Now, obviously, because that was a video talking about many different things to do with me, I never really elaborated on what that's like, how that happened, like anything about it. And recently, I've been getting back into modeling for different brands and things like that. And it's something that when I did professional modeling when I was 20, 21 and things like that, it was always an issue that I had because I have little to like no control over one whole side of my face. Now, the funny thing is, the side of my face that I have control over is actually the blind side. So for example, if I wink at someone, I'm like doing that. But that's my blind eye. So I can wink with my blind eye, but I can't wink with my good eye. For whatever reason, I just have no control over this side of my face. Sometimes when I laugh, when I smile, things like that, like it's fine just now, but you'll find that this side of my face will be a lot like more, what's the word, like scrunched up, I suppose, because I always have this eye being smaller as well. But this whole side of my face I can kind of control, but this side I have absolutely no control over. And I guess when it came to doing modeling and things like that, my favorite expression was always like the big eyes and just like the soft face, because that is easy enough for me to do. But the moment that I try and like close my eyes together, I can't do it because I can only close this eye and not this one because I have no control. Growing up, having to deal with being blind in your left eye, I guess like for me, it wasn't so bad because I never knew any different. I think what made it bad was the fact, like I could just go back to the beginning, I suppose. I was 5 or maybe 6 years old, and I remember the day vividly. My mom and dad were decorating the living room and I was like sitting on the floor and I was playing with my toys and I was kind of fascinated by what they were up to. And then my mom started getting really stressed out, and I was like, for whatever reason, I decided, my mom is stressed out, so as a 5 or 6 year old, I decided to clean the bathroom because I thought that would make it easier for my mom. Like logic. Okay, I was a kid. What do I know? And I remember I had like Mr. Muscle, like the cleaner is like bleach and stuff like that. I had it all over my fingers and I scratched my eye. And I just remember this burning pain, this like sensation, and it was like so bad. And I ran through to my mom. I was crying. I was like, my eye is so sore and I can't see and things like that. And so the next day we went to the doctors and they started putting me through like the eye charts. And suddenly it was like I could read everything with this eye and then I couldn't see from this eye. And that was the first time for me that I remember there was a problem. But I don't know if the problem was there from like birth, because obviously it wasn't picked up. I never complained of everything. Like, why would I? I didn't know any different. So after that point, it was a case of like, I'm trying to remember. It was initial blurriness. And then as I got older, it was just a case of I just can't see on this side. And as a kid, I was back and forward to the hospital all the time, and the hospital was so far away. Like, I grew up in a field, obviously in a house, but I grew up in the middle of nowhere, and the nearest hospital was an hour and 10-minute drive. And from that moment on, I had to go to the hospital every single weekend. They had to do tests, which to this day is probably why I don't like anything to do with like having eye drops or an eye test or anything like that, because it was like injections, it was drops, and then they gave me glasses. And as a kid, I remember getting taken out of primary school and the next day going back to school, and I had these massive glasses on. And kids can be cruel, okay? Kids can be so cruel, that's all I'm gonna say. So yeah, from that moment on, I had like a really big magnified eye because they thought that that would help. And then just like the regular one on my good eye, but it never did anything. And then because, as you get older, they start to freak out because your eyes can kind of change and develop as you're getting older. They decided to give me an eye patch and cover my good eye, which all that did was make me blind for like 3-4 hours a night after school. And I just remember like I used to cry all the time because all I wanted to do was play video games with my brother. I wanted to go outside and play football. I wanted to play with the dogs, and I couldn't do any of these things because my mom, obviously, she put the eye patch over my glasses to see, I was supposed to do that. That was supposed to help, but it never did. And come the end, we just kind of gave up, I guess, because like my way of life growing up, you're supposed to be able to run free, run in the fields, and do all these things. And I don't remember how long they tried all these different treatments, but I think when I went to high school, if I remember, I didn't have glasses. So I think I went all the way to primary 7. I'm not sure how old I would have been then, maybe like 11 or 12 or something like that. And that just kind of goes to show how long they tried all these different treatments for. But nothing ever worked. And from that moment on, they basically just tried to tell me that I had a lazy eye. But the thing with a lazy eye is when you're younger, it can be fixed or whatever. Mine was never fixed. And also with a lazy eye, your eye kind of moves on its own and it does its own thing. Whereas for me, it was like my eye has been tested. My eye is completely healthy. But for whatever reason, there's not much going on up here. And they said it was to do with like not enough brain signals coming through and stuff like that. Like they used to take tests and it was all black back here, whereas you're supposed to be able to see the signals, which you can on this side but not this side. So I guess does that mean I have like a dodgy brain or something like that? Maybe that's why I got kicked out of school at 15, but who knows. But hey, I did eventually get some good grades, I have But yeah, I remember just being back in high school, and I never really told anyone, because that's the thing. When people look at me, they didn't notice anything different. And it wasn't really until you had to kind of do like certain sports, or you were messing around, or like people are coming at you from this side and you're just like, you can't see someone doing this right next to you, and you're like, wait, what are you doing? Like messing around with you and stuff like that. And sometimes it gets me down. I think when I'm really tired and my good eye, obviously it's taking all the strain, when I'm playing video games, when I'm on the computer, when I'm on my phone. And if I get like a sore good eye, I start to panic because I'm like, oh my God, if something, what if something happens to my good eye? Like I'm never going to be able to see, and it absolutely terrifies me. And that's another reason why I didn't want to do streaming anymore, because I was sitting down and I was doing 5 or 6 hours a day of streaming with barely any breaks or anything like that. So I am constantly looking at my laptop screen for the chat, and I'm looking at my TV for the game and stuff like that. And I was noticing a huge decline in my good eye. And I was petrified, because I was like, I don't want to have to deal with this. And I went to the opticians. I ended up having to need glasses. I got glasses last year. And then I noticed my eye was getting worse because every time I took the glasses off, I was like, oh my God, like this is awful. So then I made a point of stopping wearing glasses and actually like going out and making sure that I'm working my eye muscle and stuff like that. And it has definitely made such a difference. And I make sure now that I'm only really on the computer or playing a game for like maybe a couple of hours a day, and that's it. And that was another reason why going pre-recorded was so important to me, because obviously when you've only got one eye, it's quite terrifying. A question I get asked quite a bit as well is, obviously I have been driving, stutter, I've been driving for 8 years now, I think. Never had a crash. I drive all the time. I'm very like conscious of the fact that maybe I have to try a little bit harder, because obviously I only have so much, vision, things like that. We drive on the left side of the road, and I find that when I overtake and I have to come back into the left lane again, I'm always like really looking over my shoulder just to make sure, because I've got such a blind spot over here. And I think that's the only thing that scares me the most. But my reaction times are absolutely amazing as a driver. My dad, he was a rally driver. He taught me to drive, and it was very important to me that, I was still able to drive. So I absolutely love driving. It's like one of my favorite things to do. And I don't know, like, is there anybody in the chat that has some sort of like a disability or anything like that? I feel like when it comes to your vision, it's so terrifying. And when I talk to people about it, and they're like, oh, I couldn't imagine what that's like, to not have perfect vision, to only see like one side and things like that. But as I say, I don't remember it being any other way at all. And I'm hoping that maybe in future there might be a procedure or anything like that, because I would quite like to experience life maybe seeing out of my, my left eye. That would be kind of amazing. But if not, I'm blessed to still be able to see. That's the thing. My good eye, it's good enough. And yeah, I know that there's people out there that have it much worse than that. So, but I just really wanted to share this story because it's something that, as I say, I've had to grow up with this. I have gone through so much when it comes to, eye care and things like that. And it's super important to me. And I think that it should be super important to everybody. Everyone is so online nowadays. Everyone is on their mobiles, their computer, their TV all the time. And I think that, you should be careful and make sure that you're looking after your eye, because honestly, I wouldn't wish it on anyone to only have like one eye that they can see out of. It's definitely frustrating sometimes. I guess that's why when I get comments like, oh my God, like what's wrong with your left eye? Like, oh my God, like it doesn't bother me whatsoever, because it's like you turn around and you say to them, well, I'm blind in my left eye, and they're like, oh, well, I'm a dick, basically. And I don't get that so much anymore because I'm conscious of it, and I kind of know how to be in control of how I look and things like that. But if I'm tired, it can't always be helped, I suppose. Anyway, guys, this has been my story about my eye. I would like to share more personal things at some point, but I guess it just depends on what it is. But anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I would love to know if there's more of you out there that have, maybe the same thing or something similar. Like, please feel free to share it in the comment section. I'd love to read about it. And as for me, I will see you all in the next video. Bye.